All right, so we had secants last time, so this is already on your vocab sheet. A secant is a line that crosses through the circle, hits it in 2 points. A tangent only hits it in 1 point. Secant hits it in 2. Okay? All right, then if 2 secants cross inside the circle, you add up the 2 arcs it intercepts and take 1/2 of that, and you get your angle. Okay? If the angle forms on the outside of the circle, you take big arc minus little arc and take 1/2 of that. It's 1/2 the big arc minus little arc. So if it's a secant and a tangent, it's 1/2 the big arc minus the little arc. If it's 2 tangents, it's 1/2 of the big arc minus the little arc. Okay, so that is what we had coming into today. Now here's the new stuff. Okay, here's the new stuff. Now we're going to talk about the lengths of the segment. So if we have 2 chords cross in a circle, okay, the lengths of each part of it, this times this equals this times this. A times B equals C times D. Okay? And so when you look at these sheets up here, okay, the first half of this lesson, we had inscribed angles already, and then we have all these. And now we're down to the bottom row. AX times XC equals DX times BX. Okay? And so on over here. So here, A times B equals D times C. And then when you have an angle on the outside, it's the outside times the whole thing equals the outside times the whole thing. Okay? So the outside times the whole thing equals outside times the whole thing. Same with a tangent and a secant. The outside times the whole thing, x times x, equals the outside z times the whole thing, z plus y. So let's practice that. So this one, okay, crosses on the inside. So this is A and B and C and D. And A times B equals C times D. So 4 times x equals 5 times 6. So 4x equals 30. If we divide by 4, x equals, I think it's 7.5. Okay. So how do we figure out y then? Cheyenne, how do we figure out y? We just did one just up here. We took this times this equals this times this, right? So isn't it the same thing? So Davin, how do we figure out y? 15 times 7. 7 times 5 is 35. Carry the 3, it's 105 equals 10y. Divide by 10. Y equals 10.5. Okay. So where then cross inside, you just say this times this equals this times this. All right. So now we're on the outside here. Okay. So the outside times the whole thing equals the outside times the whole thing. So we want to know what this is. So we want to know what it is from B to E. Archaeologists found part of the circular world that surrounds an ancient city. They measured the distance it shows. The 272-meter segment lies on a line through the center. What's the diameter of a circular wall? So we're looking for the diameter x here. So the outside, 272 times the whole thing, which is 272 plus x, equals the outside, 310 times the whole thing, 310 plus 805. Okay, so somebody, calculator, take 272 times 272. Plus 272x equals, take 310 times 310.
96,100.
And 310 times 805. $310 times 805.
249,550.
Add that to 96,100. And then subtract 7398 from there. 984, I mean. 271,667. Okay. And then divide by 272. So basically, it's right at about 1,000 meters that circular wall was. Okay? So when you have things on the outside, it's the outside 6 times the whole thing 6, because the outside is the whole thing, equals the outside A times the whole thing, A plus 9. Now this one gets a little hard because you have to do factoring for this one. 6 times 6 is 36. A times A is A squared plus 9A. Okay? So we have to subtract 36 from each side. So A squared plus 9A minus 36 equals 0. We have to factor. Okay, what two numbers multiply to be 36 that have a difference of 9? What multiplies to be 36? 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. Which of these have a difference of 9? 3 and 12. So it's A plus 12, A minus 3. Okay? A plus 12, A minus 3. Because they add up to 9, multiply to be negative 36. So A plus 12 equals 0, A minus 3 equals 0. So A equals negative 12 and A equals 3. Can A be a negative 12? Does that make sense? No. So A would have to be 3. 3 times 12 is 36. 6 times 6 is 36. So the answer is 3. Okay. What is AB? Well, again, the outside times the whole thing equals the outside times the whole thing. So 87 times 87.
7,569.
Plus 87x equals 80 times 80 is 640, or 6,400. 80 times 210 is
16,800.
so it's 23,200, and then subtract 7,569 from that. 115,651, and then divide by 87. Okay. So these are the things you need to know. When it comes to angles, if the angles cross in the middle, it's this arc plus this arc divided by 2. If angles are formed on the outside, then you take big minus little, 1/2 of the big minus the little. Okay? If we're talking about lengths of segments, this times this equals this times this. Okay? W times X equals Y times Z. And then when you get to secants on the outside times the whole thing equals outside times the whole thing. Okay, so I'll leave that up there. And I'll put out the assignment. And this is all we're doing today because so many people are gone. And so, but I do want you to hand in your worksheets from last time. If you have any questions on them, ask me before you hand them in. So I want your worksheets from last time, and then I'll grade those. Okay?